correct. Brought to you by us, fans like you, but mostly us.
There is only one war that matters. The Great War. And it is here.
If those things come for us, there'll be no kingdoms to rule. Everything we suffered will have been for nothing. Everything we lost would have been for nothing. The crown accepts your truce. Until the dead are defeated, they are the true enemy. In return, the king in the north will extend this truce. He will remain in the north where he belongs. He will not take up arms against the Lannisters. He will not choose sides. I ask it only of Ned Stark's son. I know Ned Stark's son will be true to his word.
That is why I cannot give you what you ask. I cannot serve two queens, and I've already pledged myself to Queen Daenerys of House Targaryen.
Then there is nothing left to discuss. The dead will come north first. Enjoy dealing with them. We will deal with whatever is left of you.
I'm pleased you bent the knee to our queen. I would have advised it, had you asked. But have you ever considered learning how to lie every now and then? Just a bit.
In a dark corner of the world, three men will work together to bring you a podcast like no other. This is Fanatically Correct, where the fans, the geeks, and the nerds are always correct. With your host, MSK, Yo Peace, and Omega.
Actually, MSK, what season are you on now on the rewatch?
I just started season 4 yesterday or the night before. I'm like episode 5 of season 4.
Obviously, this is going to be a Game of Thrones episode, but we're hyping up for the final season that will be coming up April 14th, Sunday, 9 p.m. Be there or regret it, because there'll probably be mad spoilers.
Wait,
and reactions that same night.
This is a Game of Thrones podcast?
Game of Thrones episode.
Yeah, I know. While the rest of us were rewatching Game of Thrones to prepare, you've been rewatching Marvel movies.
You gotta pick.
Yeah, you've been binge watching Marvel while we're binging Game of Thrones for this episode.
Exactly.
You gotta pick your battles, guys. You gotta pick your battles.
Well, in fairness, Game of Thrones comes out first, so I mean, at least the season starts before Endgame comes out. But that's besides the point. So yeah, the warning, spoilers. We're not going to be holding back. We expect anyone who's listening to this episode, since we're hyping up this final season, you should know everything we're talking about. And strongly recommend a rewatch. It really helps to get the continuity and everything. I am your host, Omega.
MSK.
Yo, peace.
So I guess we'll get into it. I mean, we can either start like kind of recapping, the highs or the lows, or like the gist of season for season. Something I definitely wanted to do, but we could probably do that somewhere when we get to around season 6 or 7, or once we start talking about iconic deaths, which I think right off of season 1, I mean, that's pretty much what season 1 is all about, is an iconic death. Probably the most iconic death in television.
I don't know. I don't know
about that. It's maybe one of the most iconic in this show. Not even. That's like maybe like number 4 on my list.
Yeah, well, the thing with the Ned Stark death is what we're talking about.
Palmer. See, this is the thing. You don't know Palmer. He
doesn't know Palmer. Oh,
I don't know
he doesn't
Palmer.
know. He doesn't know
Who's
Palmer.
Who's Palmer? I am lost.
Well, that's because
24,
you watched 24 in
24.
the weirdest order ever.
Oh, Bean was actually on 24?
No.
Oh, you're saying that was an iconic death. Oh,
Yeah,
okay, that
yeah.
character. There's a character. I got you. Well, I would say, at least with Ned Stark on Game of Thrones, is that it really set the precedence and the pace of how this show is going to go down. They immediately, within 2 or 3 episodes, separate everyone. Once they go on the road to King's Landing, Jon Snow's now, his whole storyline went to the wall. I mean, in Winterfell, you still had Robb Stark, and then they stayed behind. So it's really spread out of, who's where. And, so I would compare it to like season 2 of Walking Dead, in the sense that that's when they started giving different characters their own storyline and their own time and their own point of views. And then you would still be thinking, well, Rick Grimes is still the main guy, and then you kill him. And that was what, it felt like with Game of Thrones, it's like no matter what, you still felt Ned Stark was the main character, and then swinging of the axe, head comes off.
Yeah, well, what I've noticed since I've been rewatching it for this before this season starts, is that everyone, Ned Stark was the main character, but every character had their fair amount of screen time, and they were already like setting specific characters up to be very important till up to even season 7. Like there was a lot of foreshadowing too, and they're already like building up to it.
I even heard a couple of, actually it's like on YouTube and articles online. The actors who plays Arya Stark and I believe Jon Snow, Kit Harington, they both said that a rewatch of episode 1 is a must do for actually the series finale.
For the last episode.
Yeah, so for the last episode of all, apparently there is, in which we already know that. I mean, when you rewatch it, you see the continuity, you see the little hints. You're like, oh yeah, I mean, you start recognizing so much more dialogue the first, second, third time around. Yeah. I'm so glad I rewatched the whole series, but I might watch episode 1 again one more time before that season finale, since it's been hinted at that it, especially for Arya, I guess. I don't know why else they would say it if it doesn't have to do with Jon Snow and Arya's specific storyline.
Well, they were really close. They were really close siblings, but they were only the screen time with them was only the first episode. Really, like it was just maybe two scenes.
I think that's going to be a big deal because that's a past relationship. Jon Snow is actually still more or less the most consistent character, and is still more or less the man he was back then. But Arya definitely.
Arya is she's changed. Well, she's always had that darkness about her, but even more so, obviously, after they killed her whole family.
Yeah, I think there's a strong difference between wanting to be a knight and wanting to be an assassin. You know what I mean? Like they're not the same thing. What she's become, is not about chivalry or honor. I mean, it is about
just revenge.
Justice.
She just wants revenge, pretty much.
Yeah, it's justice, but and revenge. But overall, it's definitely not chivalry and honor, any of that. She's a completely different person than the person she wanted to be. Where I don't think Jon Snow's the person he wanted to be, but he's more or less the person we expected him to be. It's really it really isn't surprising. He was the most humble of all the children, and I mean, Jon Snow's great.
And it's the same with Daenerys. It's the same thing. Like we see her go through all the struggle, and she's pretty much ending up the way that we all thought she was going to end up.
Yeah.
As a character.
I'm going to tell you,
and a little bit extra. Well, a little bit extra though.
A little bit extra.
Yeah. I mean, she's gotten a little bit out of control, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, over all the seasons, through the series, she's become so, and she's supposed to. I mean, in the books, I guess she's only like 16 or 17 now. Where in the show they've progressed it a little bit longer the time frame.
Yeah.
So
when the books, I think she's like even younger, maybe 14 or 15. But even
she's
even
14
the first
when she
season,
gets married. Yeah.
Even the first season, she does some crazy stuff in the first season.
Yeah.
Coming from someone that's been growing up with her older brother which was a pain in the ass and treating her like crap, she goes through that.
Well, I was going to say, because you're bringing up her about first season and weird things, a rewatch of that, something that kind of sets up where we're headed now with her relationship with Jon Snow, the whole aunt nephew thing. She was originally, they hinted at that she was kind of prepared to marry not Viserion. Viserion is the name of the dragon after him, but the brother, her twin brother. That they kind of made it sound like she was actually expecting to marry him, which we already know. They've talked about that the Targaryens. That's why the Mad King was mad. That's a thing within the Targaryen culture of siblings and cousins, and So I think they're setting up for the idea that John's going to be the one who's going to have a problem with it. She might not. And that might be the rift in their love story, because he's not, you know what I mean? For him, that's going to be a problem. I'm almost for sure if he does find out, if Bran and Sam decide to share that information, that he's the one who's going to have issue with it. I don't think he's going to want the throne. I don't think he's going to feel like, well, I'm the Targaryen, and that's my rightful. I don't think that's.
Oh,
that's
no, for sure, definitely, that's going to be that's not going to be him. Like, for sure, that's
exactly. But I think that continuing the relationship with Daenerys on an intimate level, I think is going to be a hard thing for him. I think for him, he might have an issue with that. I just, and I think that might be the conflict between the two of them more or less, and kind of get that star-crossed love, which is for me, and that's something we can get into. Like I have a feeling that if everyone doesn't die, if certain people die and certain people live, I really feel Daenerys is gonna die. And I'll jump into.
Whoa! That's pretty quick. Like, let's slow down, sir. We were talking about season
we're only
one.
what 5 minutes?
You were
in?
talking about season one.
No, 10 minutes in, and you're already doing this.
Wait.
I thought we were close to the end.
What I want to lead to one thing on season 2. Personally, for season 1, I speaking of Daenerys, I think that scene of Mother of Dragons when she comes out of the fire with the baby dragons on her, that was to me another iconic step
naked
in the series.
What?
Yeah, well, that's not the part that I'm focusing on, is the nudity.
You said what?
But what I'm just saying in general is actually because the White Walker thing, they really didn't show it. Like, they hinted at it in the opening of the first episode. They never really showed like what a White Walker looked like until I believe the end of season 1 or season 2 when Sam sees the whole horde like walking through.
Yeah, the end of
it was 2. One of those. It was season 2, okay. Yeah. Because when she walks out of that fire and you see actual dragons, that's when I really realized, like, oh, okay, wow, this show's gonna go full on game Lord of the Rings. You know what I mean? Like, there's gonna be like a bunch of mystic stuff in this too now. Like, it's not just gonna be, you know, the knights and kings and jousting and sword fighting and, you know, on a, you know, I mean, I'm not gonna say realistic level. Obviously, it's a whole made up, you know, world. But the fact that they just like brought dragons into play, I really that was another for me a step, you know, as a viewer, that okay, this show's really gonna push, you know, that they're gonna have CGI, and you know, because even the dire wolves weren't that big yet. Like, they were getting big, but they weren't.
Yeah, they were just like wolves. Yeah.
So that was for me. And then what I was talking about going into season 2 about why I was thinking Daenerys is not gonna make it, because something I really noticed, and I don't know why I didn't take it in the first time I saw it so well. But in the episode where she goes to the House of the Undying, so those like, you know, those warlock guys, they steal her dragons. She goes into the tower after her dragons. They try to trick her to stay there, but when she goes in there and she's having like a vision walk, I guess is what it is. She goes into the Iron Throne room and it's been caved in and snow's falling, which is obviously a big foreshadow. But regardless, it makes sense her foreshadowing that, because even though she's never been in the Iron Throne room, that's what she's seeking. You know, at that point, she's already decided that she wants to, you know, get the 7 kingdoms and be the queen and all this. So that part made sense. Right. But when she walks through there out of north of the wall, she actually walks out of the gate from the wall. She's never been north of the wall at that point in the storyline. She's never been there, never seen there. It's not something they talk about much, the Targaryens, you know. I mean, sure, it's common knowledge, but it really didn't make any sense as to why she would see that. And then on top of that, that's where she goes into a tent and finds like the ghost of Drogo, her late husband, and her baby that passed.
Right.
And it almost feels to me like that's the foreshadow that she's gonna die north of the wall, and that's when she'll be reunited with her first love and her child. And I really see her almost having to go after the Night King or something. And I mean, I honestly also don't think, I think only one dragon's going to be left. I think it's going to cost either Drogon himself, the main dragon, leaving Rhaegal behind, which is Jon's dragon. But I just think that was a big foreshadow that, yeah, that's going to end up with her not alive when it all ends.
I don't know if that's it is. It's going to be a foreshadowing with the Iron Throne and Snow Knight, because Bran had the same vision in a couple of episodes after that. He had the same vision with the Iron Throne and the wall. So I don't know if that's just a foreshadowing of everyone meeting up to the wall, or it's all gonna end within, like, I don't know. But it's that scene has been going on, not only for her but for Bran's vision as well.
But so there's a connection there.
Yeah, I think there's gonna be a huge connection there. But yeah, as far as her not surviving, I think I think that might be a possibility. I think what would end up happening is that she ends up pregnant with Jon's kid, and she dies during childbirth, and that's like the only person that survives. The kid is the one that survives out of, you know, everyone. I don't know. My guess is everyone dies. I think the White Walkers are just going to kill everyone, and that's the end of the show, which would suck. That would
Yeah, I
be
don't think-
that would be
I
a
don't-
terrible ending.
Yeah,
Wait,
I don't think so.
suck.
I really don't.
That would be an amazing ending. What are you talking about?
No, man, I don't want to see 8 seasons and then at the
Yes,
end the White Walkers win
the
and
bad
everyone's dead.
guys win. Yes, that's what we need on TV. Yes, yes.
Yeah, I think it depends. One of the theories I read, I did read that theory of them having a kid and the kid be the one to, like, be the actual savior and be like the one to rule of the Seven Kingdoms and save everyone from the White Walker. In other words, it turns into like a war, like an apocalyptic war of 30 years or whatever, and their offspring is the one that's actually the ruler that saves everyone. And something that kind of more or less lines up with that theory is that when you talk about, I mean, it's hard to see because I mean the whole Targaryen Stark thing, all of that makes so much sense, for it to go that route, and that again back to definitely Daenerys, but I think that what they'll probably do is if Bran at all starts to have like future visions, and this is something that I had read online, that would be a way for the show to kind of not do a jump forward, like because a lot of shows do that 9 months later when they do a series finale, and some films do that too. Like just an example, the Harry Potter franchise. Yeah, they do a jump forward to make them older, and to like kind of like to let you know what has happened so far and how it ends up. They might do it as through a vision from Bran instead, and in this way to give it to you in a different way as opposed to just do a full jump forward, just kind of like him maybe explaining to Jon what's coming, or like kind of like in their hour of like turmoil, and they don't think they're gonna make it. So I mean that's another route. I mean another fan theory I don't think is gonna happen at all now. I just don't is the Tyrion being part Targaryen. I just personally don't see that.
Well, I don't see that. I mean, I don't see that playing out because they don't have a lot of episodes to flesh that out. They only have this year. They only have like 6 episodes.
Yeah.
I mean, they're gonna be like movie length episodes.
Yeah, they're 90 minutes
not,
I think each, and then 2 hours for the finale.
Yeah, but that's a lot. That's a lot to put into 6 episodes.
Yeah,
no,
I don't think
even
that's a lot of information, man.
Yeah, unfortunately, because I was kind of buying to that theory because I was always remembering there's a lot of iconic moments between Tyrion and Tywin where he says, "You're not my son, you're not my son," and there's actually one that's pretty strong where he says, "Because I cannot prove you're not my son." And that's when he told him that he wanted to. He said, "What's the first time you ever did anything, for the family?" And that's when he says, "I didn't, I didn't kill you." That he wanted to kill him the day he was born and throw him into a river. And that he said that, but because I cannot prove you're not my son, I must abide by the laws of man and give you, fortune and lineage and
yeah. That's when he makes him the master of coin when Littlefinger
exactly.
Leaves. Yeah.
So that was a real blatant one about I cannot prove you're not my son. So, but there are several times where he does say you are my son, and early on unprovoked, because when he sends him in his stead to be the hand from the battlefield, he asks why not someone else? He goes, because you're my son. So he actually says, if you rewatch it, you'll start to notice is you tend to focus on the "you're not my sons" because it's so dramatic and so hurtful, and Tyrion's quickly becomes a fan favorite. But he says actually several times that you are my son. So it's kind of a back and forth thing where, most likely he is his son. He just says that to hurt him because he doesn't feel so. I kind of leaves away because the theory I've heard is more from the books that supposedly the Mad King was infatuated with Tywin's wife and things that were hidden in the book. So, and this is something that could end up happening in the books. I don't read the books, but I know, people who do. And that might be something that still happens in the books because all we know is that HBO, who ends up on the throne or how it mainly ends is going to be the same, but because he held back so much on writing the rest of the books, they've killed off certain characters, never developed certain characters, merged certain characters. There's a lot of things they did that the actual ending's still going to be more or less different character-wise, but more or less like the same end. Which is why everyone could die is actually a good possible ending.
Well, in that case, the in the books, if they build that up for Tyrion to be part Targaryen, I mean that might be still a thing for the books. I just don't see that happening in a series because they have such limited time to flesh that out. Yeah. Especially in this season, it would have been a thing. It would have been an ongoing thing if that was the case.
The way
it's
Jon
a good theory.
was,
it's a good theory. Just maybe for the book. Maybe for the book it would make sense.
Yeah, I think with Jon, it was very fleshed out, and I mean, it even got to the point when you get to season 5 or end of season 5, just going back to that, it was the payoff because everyone knew that he wasn't going to stay dead because everyone was already on the theory that he's half Targaryen. So everyone had different ideas of how he was going to come back.
I think that was going to be like. I think at that point everyone knew that he was going to be Lyanna Stark's son.
Yeah.
I think at that point everyone was already like, and you know, you got to go to the forums, you go to Reddit and online, and since these books have been out since like, I don't know, like 20 years, like from the first book, you know, that's been a big theory. So I think, you know, by the time he dies, you know, and the Red Witch brings him back, I think everyone was already like, he's not going to stay dead.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, but what was interesting was that, though, because he doesn't come back to the following season, but there was so many during the off season, like, theories on how he was going to come back.
Yeah.
And, like, one of my personal favorite ones, but, you know, rethinking it after it happens, like, yeah, actually, that wouldn't make sense long-term story-wise, but was that, well, they're going to burn his body because in the north, they have to burn bodies now because not they come back, and because he's part Targaryen, the fire will revive him, which would be cool. However, long term,
that would have been really cool.
I think so. I think it would have been awesome to see him just jump up from the fire and that be like a healing factor to
right?
Because we know that Daenerys can't die in fire, and that's what everyone was thinking that like, oh, it's gonna be cool, he's gonna revive from the fire. However, that's kind of like a get out of jail free card always. If like you're always like gonna get stabbed, killed, like all right, just throw the guy in the fire. Like he's immortal now. You know, like so that was what it did. So as good as a visual and like epic moment that would have been for him to come out of the fire the way Daenerys came out of the fire with the dragons. Long term wise, I'm like, yeah, but now this guy can never die.
Yeah, yeah. I think he gets hurt by fire at one point, so that kind of like that.
Yeah, you know, I never noticed that, but yeah. So season 2, just a quick one. I think the House of the Undying thing, Blackwater. That's always, we talked about that when we did our con episode, and we talked about great battles. That's the first episode to focus on one scenario, one scene, one place, and that's a great battle.
Yeah.
I mean, everything.
Yeah.
Tyrion's
speech,
dialogue. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go kill them. Those are brave men not gonna do it.
Yeah, that scene was great, and it shows how much of like a wuss Joffrey was. He just ran.
Yes.
As king, he runs back to his mom because she doesn't want him there, and it's like the face that Tyrion, like his reaction to that. It's like this guy's leaving, and he expects all these people to fight for him, and this guy's just leaving. Like now, I got to take care of all this. It was classic.
Yeah. See, and that goes back to season 2, and a lot of character development there is showing you what potential people have, because you saw what Tyrion was able to do in the face of extreme danger and battle and war and turmoil. But even Sansa, who was basically being tortured up to that point, when Cersei's like treating all the other women in the room like garbage, and Sansa was actually stepping up and like getting the women to like calm down, like
right.
Another person who's actually not like panicking in the face of such a big moment, which we know this is all going to lead down to where we're going to be at now, which is the White Walker army coming, to kill everyone, and it looks like all these characters are going to be in Winterfell, so they're going to get hit with it.
At least for the most part, everyone's going to be in the north side. So
and I'll go season 3, and I'm sure Yo-Piece will have some input, and yourself. Actually, when MSK posts this thing on Facebook, I tend to try and do like the little one-liners.
Yeah, but, I ignore it. Because I'm rewatching it, so I don't want to remember. I want to remember as I watch it.
The Reigns of Castamere, best wedding song ever.
It is. Yeah. It is a great wedding song. That
song. Anytime you hear that song, and they play it a lot throughout the series, like people are singing it, or it's in the background. They
do that on purpose.
It sounds really good on weddings. I'm not even gonna lie, like really good.
Yeah, it's a good song. It
is.
It has a great melody and harmony. And they're smart because, like you said, they play it a lot. And I think they did that on purpose, because I remember first time seeing the Red Wedding episode, immediately questioning why that song was playing. Like, as soon as they started playing, I go, wait a minute, that's the Lannister. Like,
right, that's the Lannister. Yeah.
So you're like, why are they playing the Lannister song at a Stark wedding with the phrase or whatever? Like, this doesn't make it. Like, what's, and then you already start getting the unsettled feeling, and they slow the camera, and like it just goes from there.
Yeah.
And like I've never yelled at the TV before.
Yeah. Well, rewatching it because I just saw that episode maybe like three days ago. I never questioned why Roose Bolton released Jaime. Like, I was like, all right, well, you just released them, whatever. Like, yeah. I never questioned it before, but now watching it, I'm like, oh, this guy already turned on Robb.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it works out well because they're still kind of on the kick that's what Caitlyn Stark wanted.
Right.
And so you're kind of like stuck in that realm of like, well, I guess he's honoring that for Caitlyn's sake.
But he also called her a traitor in the same episode. So it's like,
yes.
I never questioned it before, but it's like, this guy straight up just stopped following Rob.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, no. When you rewatch it, you're like, how did I not see this?
Right,
You really, you don't, because it all lines up. And again, that's what I'm saying. This is such a good series.
See, the thing is that you already know it was coming. There's no way that you did not see that coming. Just because the fact that you know that it was coming is because you see it. But if you put yourself in that position again without seeing it, trust me, you're not gonna see that coming. Yeah. There's no way.
Yeah, you won't put two to two together. Like you said, Omega. We basically probably thought he was following, the mom. Honoring her
stand
orders.
out to you. Yeah, no, they got you with your pants down on that one because you were stuck in this 3-episode arc of it's a mission to get him back home for the Stark girls, and you're so stuck in that train of thought that you do forget. Like, wait a minute, Bolton would be turning him over to Rob, he would. When you rewatch it, like, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense.
It makes no sense at all.
It doesn't. But they did such a good job that if you've never seen it before, you don't see it coming because they catch you, off guard, and they got your mind in a different train of thought for the story at that point.
I knew you were gonna bring that up. Anyways, the best part of that episode, the Red Wedding, is the ending. I didn't remember it being that long. The last 30 minutes is dedicated to the Red Wedding.
Yes.
So as soon as Arya sees that, with the Hound, that she's in the distance, like right there, like they're right there.
Yeah.
From there on, it's all Red Wedding. The last 30 minutes, and it's them setting up the wedding and all that.
I gotta tell you, it's one of the best moments for me with Arya, specifically in that situation. I love that moment when they get to the Bloody Gates, which is the sky tower that her aunt was in.
Yeah.
And
my bad, bro.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'll continue now.
All right.
So when she gets to the Bloody Gates, Arya, and she, her aunt had just died, and she's there with the Hound, and they're asking like, I'm here to bring Arya Stark, the niece of, I forget her name now, of she's not a Stark, she's a Tully, but I think her name is another name there too. But when they say, my condolences, she died 3 days ago, and Arya just starts laughing, she just it's just so unbelievable. It's like every time she gets close to being back with family, they're dead. It's like she just.
What season was that? That's when she's going back to the.
Yeah, I think that's season 4.
Okay, I'm about to get to that. Yeah,
that's season 4 because we just finished season 3 with the Red Wedding and basically the Unsullied, which that's a great story also. The Unsullied, the climb. You're a big fan.
That's
of that
season
one.
3, the end of season 3.
Yes, and Whip Drop. I think Whip Drop season 3 because that's when she gets the Unsullied, that's
that's also season 3. Yeah,
all time Whip Drop. That's such a great moment. But in season 4, when that's when Arya, and that's before Brienne and the Hound go at and all that, because he's trying to get her to family. So it's post Red Wedding, she goes through this journey again. Okay, finally she'll be with her aunt and somewhere safe. And no, your aunt's dead, and she just starts basically doing what the fans are doing, just laughing. It's like, what more? What else can happen? What else? What else is there left for me?
Yeah,
in this world. She's already heard that. Supposedly at that point,
it's like a crack. She's cracked.
Exactly.
She's out of it already. Her mind is gone.
She's stabbed. Yeah, she's she knows her father's already dead. That she saw that happen. She basically almost saw, it happened, but saw the aftermath of her mother being dead, her brother being dead.
Well, she saw Rob's body with the direwolf's head on it.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Which is probably the worst thing you could possibly see.
Yeah. And then by then she had gotten word, I believe, that Brandon and Rickon were also killed by by Theon.
Right.
Didn't happen, but suppose that's what the rumor was. So outside of that, it's what's left for her, other than what she ends up doing, going to Davos. But yeah, that's a great moment. And that Brienne Hound fight, we tried to talk about it in the con last year,
Right.
About that fight. We had some turmoil in the audience about that, but that's an iconic fight,
Hey,
man.
Yeah, that was a
That's
great fight.
Great.
And I'm as much as I want to see Jon and Arya, just to see their relationship get back together, because we
Yeah.
haven't seen them since season 1. I want to see Brienne see the Hound again.
Well, they did. They did. In when we get once we get back up there in season 7, when they talked about Arya, when they went to go take the
to
White Walker.
the White Walker thing. You're right.
They do, and it's a great moment because, as a matter of fact, a great moment is before he sees her again, and that's a season 7. We'll talk about that again in a short while. Is the Magnificent Seven, the North of the Wall situation, and the big bearded red, the ginger,
Tormund
guy.
was it Tormund?
Tormund, there you go. I think it's
Tormund.
Yeah, when he's talking about that he wants to hook up with the big whatever, and he's like, and the house is like, Brienne of Tarth, you're with Brienne of Tarth, like he already knew what she was.
Right. I forgot about that. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so he brings that up, and then he sees her when they go to take the White Walker, and that's when she says, no, Arya's made it back home, she's still alive, and then he said something about to the effect of I hope she's safe or whatever. She goes, and the only person who's unsafe is anyone who stands in her way. So he's like, that's my girl, and it's so wild that they both have an affection for Arya, and then had that fight that they had. I mean, just that's we'll get into that in a minute, 'cause that whole episode.
Well, for Brienne, it was
great.
More as like an honor thing for
Catelyn.
the mom, the Stark mother,
Exactly.
but like the relationship between Arya and the Hound really developed because she hated him. She wanted to kill him, you know, and she had a chance to kill him, but she just left him alone.
So you think she's done? You don't think she's gonna actually take care of that?
I don't think she's gonna kill the Hound. No.
The Hound, no. I don't think she'll get to. I think the Hound is someone. I mean, maybe now is a good time to kind of get into it. I'll say at least one of my picks. I think the Hound is definitely gonna die. I
think he's probably gonna die in like an honorable type of way, like protecting someone,
trying to save her.
I think he dies fighting the Mountain. I think they're gonna come that circle, give him that opportunity. I really hope it's a situation where maybe him, Brienne, and Arya, that would be like the greatest thing for me as a fan.
Tag team.
Yeah, to see a 3-on-1 against the Mountain, because that's what it will take.
Yeah.
To take out the Mountain.
And he dies trying to protect one of them. That would be pretty cool. Because at this point, he has to die with some sort of honor because his character has developed to that point.
Yes.
Especially after he what was that episode where he came back and he was like with this village and building churches and stuff like that?
Yes. And actually, his reboot was incredible because Brienne put him in a near-death experience that kind of gave him a newfound meaning for life, and they revisit that and I think that's in that season 6 when he goes back to, there was like a father and daughter that he and Arya had stayed a night with, and he fed them and everything like that, and then he stole this silver from him, and he told them that it's better me than someone else, that they're not going to make it, they're not survivors, and there's a whole thing with that. And he goes back there, and they do show that they were the decomposing bodies, the father holding the daughter, and then he buries them and everything. So they went full circle, and he even has remorse for when that happened, and he is a changed man, which is an incredible thing about the whole series of Game of Thrones, is how they take characters that you despise, like a Jamie Lannister, for example.
That's crazy.
And also you find yourself
that type
rooting
of
for
writing
them.
is crazy. I appreciate that from that show. The way they actually are able to, tune you into different, lead you into the characters that you should be wanting, that you don't want to, and the ones that you want to.
Well, every once in a while, you'll even find yourself rooting for some. I mean, I think the two characters you never ever root for, probably Joffrey and Ramsay Bolton. That's about it. Because even Cersei, during the whole Sparrow thing, you kind of were rooting for her because you really hate
because you don't want to
Sparrows.
see someone go through that. I mean, it was pretty crazy what she had to go through with that. But
exactly.
But yeah, for sure, so, Ramsay and Joffrey were villains. There was nothing redeemable about those two.
Never a redeeming moment from either one of those characters.
Even Theon. Although I really hated Theon when he betrayed Robb, there is some redeemable aspects, especially now that he saved Sansa and he's really trying to get back to normal.
He's a great diver though. Yeah. He's a great diver though.
But he just he left his
Euron's
sister
laugh.
to die. But yeah,
Euron's laugh when he jumped overboard is so.
Oh my god, I got so mad because at that point it was like, all right, Theon's actually gonna try, and then no, he just jumps out of the boat.
But you know
and
what?
I'm like, God damn it, Theon.
I gave him a 10. I gave him a 10 on that. There was no splash. There was no splash.
No splash. He went gold. You got at least a silver on that one.
Yeah.
No, but for real, realistically, what was Theon gonna do at that point? He's gonna lose that fight and just die.
Yeah, that's the whole point. You tried.
I mean, I'm not saying it was his plan. He could try and die. I'm not saying it was his plan. I'm just saying that now he has the opportunity.
Well, at that point, why wouldn't you want to die after he went through everything Ramsay took him through? Like, I'm rewatching it right now, and I forgot how much Ramsay did to that guy. Like, he destroyed him. And there was this one part where he's like torturing him, and Ramsay's already giving him the name Reek. He's like, "Oh, what's your name? It's Reek, right?" Or whatever. And he's like, "No, it's Theon Greyjoy." And he says his name twice, right? Like, Ramsay's still like hurting him, and he's like, "Oh, it's Theon Greyjoy." And after the second time, he's like, "Yeah, it's Reek. It's Reek." And my wife is like, "That's it." That he for 2 punches, he punched him twice, and he like, "That's it."
It's I think it's time. I think, and that's something with the show also. In fairness, we're gonna go back to that because we actually had a big conversation about that. About season 7 at the Concast, that a lot of people were griping, and we made up the whole big deal about we don't know what the rules in Westeros are about how fast a raven flies.
I don't want to go back to that. I do not want to go back to that. It's a fantasy world. I just don't get it.
Even then, here's the thing: when you rewatch, everyone's actually kind of wrong. Because we'll start with one thing: a lot of people complain about the pacing of season 7, of how they were jumping months at a time. But as soon as you go back to season 1 from the beginning, they were already doing that from season 1. They show it takes about a month and a half to get from Winterfell to King's Landing, and then to boot, like immediately, John's already at the wall. Arya, I mean, they even talk about it. It's been like a like every episode in season 1. It's about 3 or 4 months goes by, like immediately. So they've already been doing that time jump since the very beginning. Now to boot on that, and I'll just go back to that one thing since I brought it up. In season 7, in that episode that a lot of people complain about, it's actually inaccurate because when you rewatch it and see all the details. Gendry, it actually took him about a day to almost half a day, as fast as he could, to get back to the wall. When Jon goes back to the wall after surviving all of that, he's on Uncle Benjen's horse. Outside of that, the part where they're waiting on the little ice island for Daenerys to come save them, basically, it's actually been about 2 or 3 days, because he even talks about that all the food and water are gone. And what now? So they just jumped time, but they didn't like speed it. It didn't all happen within a 24-hour period. That was about a 3-day, 4-day period. They just edited, the yada yada. You know what I mean? They edited out the fat of these guys just sitting there drinking all the water, peeing themselves, taking naps. Like, they just, didn't bore us with that extent of it. So actually, it was about a 3 or 4 day thing. So in fairness, the dragon didn't fly like an F-16 jet, even though we don't know how fast a dragon flies. Like we said in that episode. But regardless, it actually has been the technique and the style of the series all the way through. They just kind of started focusing in the middle episode, season 3, season 4, season 5. That's when they started having one day, one time, one episode. Even Tyrion, which we'll get into that now, which is the whole trial by combat thing. They slowed down every once in a while, and people got so used to that they felt that that's how it always was, and were kind of upset when they started moving too fast.
Well, the only time I was really upset when they moved fast was when Varys was with Daenerys, and then he leaves. He leaves her to talk to the Sand Snakes, to make a deal with the Sand Snakes. She's already coming to Westeros on the boats, and he's on the boat with her. And it's like, how did he get from where he was back on the boat?
Was?
Right?
He met back up. No. You're confused. I just saw that season. You're behind. He met back up with Daenerys at Dragonstone.
No, that was before they got to Dragonstone. This was when they were going to Westeros.
Yes.
Yeah, she gets on the boats with Yara, right? And he brought the boats also from I believe from like the Sand Snakes or whatever. But within that same episode, he's with the Sand Snakes, and then the end of that episode, he's already on the boat. So they do flash forward, but it was done so abruptly
The
that
honest
it's
truth
like,
about it is that it's a fantasy world, and sometimes things happen, and we just gotta
yeah,
deal
yeah,
with
no,
it.
I know,
But
but like, if anyone's gonna complain about the time jump, what bothers me, it's not the A team, which is what everyone was calling them, going
Yeah.
on
Right,
the wall.
right.
That
Yeah,
part,
that was
that
not bad
episode
at
was
all.
great. That
That's a
doesn't
great
bother me. I
Exactly.
think
So-
the Varys thing
so-
upsets me a little bit more if I had to pick one.
and I get it. I get what you're saying, because like if it's a person thing where, you know, people are people. Like like we're not getting off too much fantasy where it comes to the actual person, and if it's about traveling, I get that. I get like where they're at the moment. I understand that. But if you're talking to me about a fantasy world and how fast was a pigeon or whatever
Or a
the
dragon,
hell was,
yeah.
or a dragon is traveling, then you get out of my face, because this is a fantasy world.
Yeah.
And it's just
Yeah.
whatever they want to make it. It's their world. Let
Yeah.
it be whatever it is. Just
Yeah.
fantasize it about it if they didn't even give you an explanation.
Yeah. In that case, a
Yeah,
dragon,
yeah, yeah.
a dragon or a crow or a pigeon or whatever they use, that, yeah, dude, it's their own world. They could do
Yeah,
whatever they want with
exactly.
it. You know,
Well, it would make sense if ravens are super fast in Westeros and Esteros. It will make sense why they're the bird of choice for messaging, because they're like, you know, the emails of the of this world. And dragons, they had already been building up early on that they move pretty darn fast, because Drogon was being seen all over Esteros by the time he got full grown, and he showed up like nothing when, you know, she was in trouble in the fighting pits, and the Sons of the Harpy or whatever were trying to kill her, and he showed up like, so they had already early on built up that at least Drogon specifically, and it would make sense to the dragons too. They are fast. They got massive wingspans. They're mystical creatures, and they can
Like,
move.
have you guys seen Toothless? How fast Toothless is? Yeah, have you guys seen how fast Toothless is?
Toothless is
Yeah,
fast.
he
And by the
spits
way,
lightning.
Side note, the third movie's pretty good. I'm just
I
gonna say
have
that.
not
I don't know if I
seen
said
it.
that. In
I
the
I
last
haven't
podcast,
seen it
was
yet,
pretty
but I
good.
hear it's good. I haven't seen How to Train Dragon 3, but I hear it is good.
But yeah,
And actually, isn't Kit Harington in it?
he is in it. Yeah, he
character?
voices one of the Vikings.
Is he a good Viking or bad Viking? Because I know there's
No,
villains
he's a
in
good
that.
one. He's a good one.
Oh, okay.
But anyways, yeah. What I want to ask you guys is, we already talked about Arya and Jon meeting again this season for the first time in 7-8 years.
Yeah.
What other characters are you guys hyped to see like meet up?
Reunions or just interact for a change? entirely?
Either one. Like for me specifically, I want to see Jamie and Bran talk. I want to see that scene.
wow.
Like, hey man, remember when you pushed me off the window
Push
and
me out a
started this whole
window.
thing?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That'd be interesting.
Man,
I
yes,
got.
that's actually really, really deep.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It goes right back to season 1. I mean, it really does.
Yeah.
Like, actually, episode 1 isn't at the end of the first episode when he pushes him out that window.
It's the end of the
Yeah.
first
Yes.
episode.
First
Yeah,
episode.
first episode.
It
Yeah,
is.
you're right. Yeah.
It's the end of the first episode. He pushes Bran Stark out that window. So that is some real full circle stuff right there. I gotta say, I felt like I'm looking forward to certain things about the final season in that approach, but that Wild Bunch Western episode, that was great, because I think that was a new combination of characters, a great one. They brought Gendry back out of nowhere. I mean, just the scene, the episode before that, because the episode of the actual fighting with the Night King, the dragon, and all the walkers and all. It's actually the end of the episode before that builds up to that, where they're all just there in the prison cell interacting with one another,
Yeah.
and the Hound is like, you know, arguing with him, and you know, Gendry's arguing with the other two guys, and Davos is arguing with Mormont, and it's like, he's like, aren't we a bunch? You know what I mean? It's like, you already see, it's like, oh wow, this is gonna be it hyped you up for the next episode.
And
Like,
they put
I
those
just wanna see
characters.
them
I mean,
interact.
those characters work well with each other. Like I
They
could see
do.
another 2-3 episodes. That
Oh,
episode.
I could watch a season of that.
Yeah.
I could watch a season of that.
That's what's so
It's
great, man. That episode. I mean, I really liked the episode as much as everyone was complaining that it was fast or whatever. It really could have been half a season of just
Yeah.
those guys
Easily.
hanging out.
It's
and-
great.
Their dialogue, that back and
Yeah,
forth
it is.
banter is great. It's great.
Yeah. But yeah, for the
And
most
I
part,
know-
I really want to see Bran talk to Jamie, because especially Jamie, how
Yeah.
we were saying earlier, how we all hated him in the beginning
It's a
for
weird
that.
thing
and then
now. Yeah, it's a
as the
weird
seasons
thing we
go
got
on,
going
we kind of like understand Jamie, where he's coming from, and like kind of get to know him more. And now it's like we're kind of rooting for him, just to see
Yeah.
Bran now as kind of the three-eyed raven, how his whole persona is now, and he sees everything. And then Jamie, and I want to see that interaction.
Yeah. No, I think that's probably be one of the more interesting ones because it, like we just said, it goes back to episode 1. They're two totally different people now, and because, like you said, Brandon has the visions now. He can see that Jaime is a better person, or in general. Ish, and so it would be interesting, to definitely to see that interaction. I think for me, it would actually be, now that I'm thinking, because I did love the episode where they took the White Walker and you had what's his name? Is it
Bronn?
Bronn. That when he got with Podrick and,
with Tyrion,
and Brienne and Tyrion again, like seeing all those characters reunite and interact was great. But the one we didn't get there because she didn't go to that, and actually will be interesting if it ends up happening, is somehow seeing Sansa and Cersei in the same room again.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's going to happen.
I think it will. I think
if it were
something has to happen there because the first 2 seasons it was a lot of Cersei belittling Sansa.
Yep.
And I think that's going to come full circle. I think there was a lot of animosity there, and I think that has to pay off somehow. Also, I really want to see Sansa and Tyrion because they're technically married.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, they never consummating. So technically, she's a widow, but she was married. She was married to Ramsay. As far as the laws of the land, because they never consummated the marriage. That marriage actually never counted. Which is funny because he even tells that to Jon Snow. He was never consummated. He was like, I didn't ask. He goes, well, nonetheless, like he just wanted to know, like, hey, I never touched your sister in that way. I had no plans to. And he did go to town on the guy that did. Do horrible things to her, and that's a very emotional scene when Brandon tells her about that, and he says, "I'm so sorry that those things had to happen to you in our home." And I mean, it's they bring the drama great too. There's such great action in there, but when they bring the drama, they bring it, and they bring it. Well, I mean, Hodor.
I'll
be honest. That's my eyes are watery every time I've seen that episode.
I think that scene is up there with in shock value. I think that's up there with the Red Wedding.
Yeah.
In a different way, obviously, but like just the fact that that's how he got stuck.
Like you didn't see it coming. You didn't see that coming. In that fact, and
the fact that he has his finally a moment of clarity, which is so sad because that means that he always knew, and that's what brain fried him. He got stuck in a time loop in his mind. He saw his death when he was a kid and then wasn't able to be himself again until it was time to die. You know what I mean? Like it's so deep. You know what I mean? It's so deep and sad because now he's not being warded by Bran. He's actually of his own accord holding that door and dying to protect them. So it's like, and it almost feels like that kid wronged you, man. Like that kid by doing this.
No, his story is kind of tragic, man. But
it's extremely tragic.
That episode, the end of that episode, everyone was talking about it. That was like the huge, like, even to this day, people are still doing that.
Especially hold the door, like what, like your whole. And even when you see the name of the episode is the door, like you just like it's like wow, like the biggest mind blowing. And since season 1, because Bran goes paralyzed in season 1 and has to get Hodor to help him already from the get go. Yeah. So it's like that I've always been there. That whole hold the door thing is
it's just like
mind-blowing.
It's just like who's a fan when you just go into an elevator, right?
Yes.
And you just say Hodor, and they know. Like if somebody looks at you, they know.
Yeah, they know.
They know.
Hodor.
They know.
Yeah. Hodor. It's short now. It's just Hodor.
You just say Hodor, and they know.
Hodor.
You know who's a real
That's
fan.
Funny.
Yeah, but that's crazy, man. That Bran basically messed up his life, and I want to know. I mean, the theory of him getting into the Mad King's head and kind of making him crazy, and like I want to see how that plays out this season. If they have,
because they hinted it, but it doesn't really. When you rewatch it, because the glimpses, it's him downloading information. He's actually not at that time uploading the way he did with Hodor. He's actually just seeing because he's becoming the three-eyed raven.
Right, he's watching. He's watching.
Yeah. Which we mention this every time. That's one of the greatest lines ever of like any show because you don't you're not prepared for that when he's like, it's time for what? For you to become the three-eyed raven.
Peace out.
Am I ready?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No. Straight up no.
Yeah. Max Vance.
And nothing following that. Yeah, nothing to follow that. Nothing, like to help, but you'll get better or like just no. And that's it.
Or
like,
no, just keep practicing. No. You're just not ready.
Just no.
Good luck.
Just know you messed up, but this is what's happening now. So
I want to see how they do that though. How he messes up the Mad King. How because I'm pretty sure that's what's gonna happen, right? Like everyone knows that's how that ends up happening.
That's what we're thinking. When you rewatch and you start hearing a lot of stories, that he was pretty consistent about his building up of the Dragonfire, and he was pretty consistent about preparing, basically doing a Cersei of like, if all my enemies are going to come for me, then I'm going to burn everyone. It's very methodical. Like, he did lose his mind at the end, obviously, as he was called the Mad King, but he was very methodically preparing for if, other words, there's not going to be regime change. He was, the last thing he expected was for Kingslayer, Jaime to stick a sword in his back and start those fires. But that he was very methodically in his tyranny to be like, well, if I'm going down, I'm taking all of King's Landing with me. So it was more of a power move when you rewatch and you're like, you know what, he was kind of crazy, but he also had a sword through his back at that moment. So it's that's when he was yelling when he stuck the sword to them, burn them all, because that's the story that this guy tells, the one who was head of the King's Guard before Jaime, that went to go by Daenerys' side. And he had mentioned that too. So you actually, the same thing about the Rhaegon buildup of being Jon Snow's father, that there was so many stories from the beginning of how he would sing for people, how he was a great knight, how he took Lyanna the Flower. There's a lot of stories that didn't make sense of a guy who would kidnap a woman and bring the whole kingdom. It really made sense. This guy was in love.
Yeah, that guy just was in love with her. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it sounds like she loved him back. And then when you replay in your mind and rewatch, Baratheon, what's his, the first Baratheon, the first king.
Yeah, King Robert.
Series,
yep.
King Robert. It's like, yeah, you believe it. This guy's an animal. That guy was an animal. Was he sadistic? No. Was he malicious towards his people? Not really. But that guy did not care. That guy all he cared about was, getting his, drinking alcohol, hunting, eating. That guy did just,
Robert, King Robert.
King Robert.
Yeah, because by that time he was in love with Lyanna and she didn't,
and always was.
Yeah, and he ended up being with Cersei out of family, like getting the families together and stuff. But he was always in love with Ned's sister. So
yeah, he was a tough Littlefinger. That's what he was. Littlefinger he wasn't tough enough or strong enough or skilled enough in fighting to go about causing a whole rebellion through the kingdoms to get Catelyn Stark at his side. But basically, it's kind of the same story. It's like this guy wanted to go against the grain because he wanted a woman that someone else wanted, and now all of this has ensued because Littlefinger, that was what he was all about. At the beginning was that Catelyn, he wanted to be with her. Ned Stark's older brother was supposed to be betrothed to her, but then he died, and Ned Stark gets over and he's like, where's mine? And then it became almost an entire plan for him to make everyone pay for the fact that he didn't end up with Catelyn Stark.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, because with Littlefinger, and it's pretty cool how he kind of set everything up, because he's the one that pretty much killed Jon Arryn, the first hand. Yes. Robert's first hand. But it's because of his love for Ned's wife that he's always been in love with her, and since he wasn't from a family with wealth and all this, he wanted to be one, so he made his own he made his own way. He got to the point where he could make his own house with his own symbol, marry this lady to take over. I forgot her name. Sansa's aunt.
The nut.
Yeah, the crazy lady
with the son breastfeeding till he's like driving
14 years old. Yeah. No,
crazy lady. No, it was Olenna.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Yeah. No, Olenna's the old lady.
Yeah.
Olenna's the old lady.
Yeah, it was her, right?
No, that's the Tywin. No, he's talking about not Marjorie's grandmother. He's talking about Sansa's aunt, Caitlyn's sister, the one with the breastfeeding kid that pushed people through the hole.
Yeah.
Make him fly. I want to see him fly.
Yeah, that kid was crazy. Yeah. But yeah, he got to the point where he actually got to be the pretty much the king of the Vale, and it's pretty cool as a character coming from nothing to almost getting pretty close to getting a crown.
And to that trial scene, man, is that trial scene
great? That trial scene was amazing. It's
the best.
What are you talking about?
Oh, what a great moment in the last season, before this last season, but of season 7, was that, you were they built you up so much, and of Arya and Sansa being pitted against one another, and you're like, I cannot believe Littlefinger's pulling this stunt off. And in that moment, when you actually see Sansa has a brain, and she saw what he was about, And that movie was just great. And Arya just like slit that throat with his own knife.
Oh yeah,
With his own
and
knife.
and the fact that he saw that they had the knife and it was his knife that set up the
Yeah.
whole thing, and he was like, "Oh damn, he's gonna die." Yeah,
No, when Brendan told him chaos is a ladder, or just the episode before,
Right,
it was already
right.
like he was really like, oh crap, he should have been looking out for Brendan because he realized like this guy knows everything about me, and then he tells me you held the knife to my father's throat, and you told him that he should have never trusted you. When he tells me he's like, yeah, you're done, man. You don't know how this kid knows everything, but this kid knows.
yeah. I would have
everything.
left, but I would have. Yep, I'm out.
Yeah. Speaking of that blade, because that the which that's another theory that Arya will probably be the one that ends up to kill the Night King, because that blade's a double. It's the handle is dragon glass and the blade is Valyrian steel.
Oh, I didn't know that.
How many?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, how many Valyrian steel swords are that one? Because they said it twice. They said it in the episode when he gets it back from Ned Stark, and then I think in the same episode when he gives it to Brendan, he says what it is. So, which it's more important then, because now you're really like, hey, wait a minute, both those things kill White Walkers at that point. You know this, but you have that blade, which is the Valyrian steel, and the
Jamie's
dragon
sword is Valyrian steel as well, and
Jamie's, because that's half of Robb Stark's sword that used to be Joffrey's,
right.
And then Brienne has the other one that was supposed to be his. That's Valyrian steel.
Right. Well, yeah, he gives the sword to Brienne, and then he keeps Joffrey's.
The first one, he keeps Joffrey's after Joffrey dies. So so he has a Valyrian steel. Brienne has Valyrian steel. Arya has Valyrian steel. Jon Snow has Valyrian steel Longclaw. Which, side note, when we resaw that episode of when he falls through the ice, with the dragons and the White Walkers and all that, I think I've brought this up before about it looks like the wolf blinks.
Yeah.
Like it opens, and what it is that it's the opposite. The wolf always has the eye open, and it was a ward eye at that moment. So it maybe was Brandon Stark was watching that. Was at that moment he was warding the sword, but something was warding that sword, and you could watch it 20 times and you'll see it as clear as day. It's a full white eye, and as soon as Jon Snow's hand comes out of the water, it goes back to a regular eye. It's specifically and zoomed in on that, so I don't know what that's gonna mean down the line.
Yeah, it's if they did it so blatantly, everything means something in Game of Thrones. They threw something in the first season. What was it? The first season they threw. No, actually, it's this season. The season I'm on, season 4, where Bran is telling the story to Jojen and his sister about how they fed this king his sons in a pie. And sure enough, 3 seasons later, Arya does the same thing to Will the Frey's kids and fed him, his sons. And I thought that was awesome.
Arya's excellent. That whole and it's so smart the way the show did that, where they had one season ended with her killing Frey when she feeds him his sons, like you just said, and then the beginning of the next season is her killing all the Freys, the entire lineage, everyone in his family, all his sons, the Freys, all his sons, all his grandsons, everyone except the women. She gave them, that's a great scene. I don't waste good wine on a woman, that does that, and that's to save her life, obviously. And which is funny because it caught me off guard because I've kind of forgotten, when we watched from one season to the next,
that she killed him.
I was like, wait a minute, isn't he dead? Like I forgot, oh, that's right, she has his face. That's right, she does that now. She has faces, which that's great too. When Sansa finds that out and she finds her bag with all the faces in it. And she's like, "Oh, what is my sister up to?"
Yeah. No, Sansa must be freaking out right now because Arya's assassin and Bran is like this guy, like can see the future and the past. Like she must be freaking out. She's waiting for Jon to come back because he's the most like normal sibling,
No kidding. Yeah, except he came back from the dead. I don't think she knows that, does she? Because they didn't share.
No, I don't think she does. But even so, like compared to all 3 of them, I think he's still relatively normal.
Yeah, he only came back once. Just once. Yeah. He came back from the dead only one time.
So on a side note of finding different faces, I just wanted to let everybody know where they can find us.
Oh, there you go.
Yes, good time for that.
Oh, yeah. All right. So you guys can listen to us on Fanatically Correct and rate us specific on iTunes or Podbean. Use Google Play Music, Google Podcasts, any part or any other or your smart home speakers. Things like home, like Google Home, Alexa, or Echo to play your Fanatically Correct. You can also follow us on social media websites, as you use your at handles at FanCorrect, Twitter, Instagram, or just search for Fanatically Correct on Facebook, and MeWe. That's all I'm gonna leave it.
What's MeWe?
Yeah, that's a new website. We got a new website. It's called MeWe.
I gotta check.
That's just where I'm gonna leave it at.
And our Google number.
A Google number. I see what you're doing there, sir. Our Google number is 786-704-8404, and you guys can just leave us a email or a voicemail, whatever you want. Not an email. An email is at contactfancor@gmail.com, and that's about it. That's where you can find us.
No, I just realized Sam also has a Valyrian steel sword.
Yeah. Sword? Well, no, he has like daggers, I think.
No. He has a Valyrian steel sword. He took it from his father, his family sword.
Oh, yeah, he took it from the wall. Yeah,
the night that he left. Yeah, which and then his dad and brother got lit up by Daenerys. They were at the end of a Dracarys.
Yeah, I can't wait to get to that. I'm set up right now. This episode's probably gonna air the week before the new season, but right now I'm by season 4, episode 4 or 5, and the way I have it set up is if I see 2 episodes a night, that up to the day of the new season, I will be all caught up. Even that same day, I would have to watch 2 episodes, and then the new season starts.
Yeah, Yo Piece is gonna watch the Samuel Jackson narrated 10-minute recap.
Oh, the recap, yeah.
Yeah, one of those is what I think Yo Piece will do. But I think he's on the 7th of Marvel movie of his marathon.
Yeah. But yeah, Game of Thrones it's a good rewatch, man, and it doesn't feel long if everything's moving like smoothly. I mean, it's such a great show. The show is really incredible.
All right, you guys. I said I feel for sure Daenerys dies. Well, actually, no. I think for sure the Hound. He's gonna be my easy bank. I'm gonna go with the Hound, and I think for sure lives. That one's a hard one. It's really hard to pick someone who's gonna live. But you know what? I'm gonna say Arya.
Interesting.
I'm gonna say Arya for sure lives. What do you got?
So we're doing who's gonna live or die. Okay, so I think for sure
who for sure dies, who for sure lives
is gonna be Jorah. I think he's gonna die.
Jorah. Which one's Jorah?
Mormont.
Oh yeah, okay,
friend
yeah,
zone,
the one who had the friend zone. Yeah,
he's gonna die. I think it's already time that
gravestone, whatever.
He does something pretty heroic and he dies.
Man, after getting all that stuff torn off his skin.
Yeah, which looked painful, super painful. But yeah, man, I don't think he's gonna survive this. Especially if Daenerys doesn't survive it. I think he's gonna do everything he can to try to save her somehow.
Well, I'm gonna say Jon Snow is gonna die, and and I'm gonna say that Ed Stark is gonna live.
Who?
Ned Stark.
Ned Stark is gonna live for sure.
The only way I could see that is if Bran time travels and
Ned Stark is gonna come back in my heart and he's gonna rule everything. That's what's gonna happen. I don't care.
As a White Walker.
I don't care what you say. I don't know how.
That's horrible. That's a cop out. That's a cop out. You really think Jon Snow's gonna die?
Jon Snow dying is huge, man. I think everyone thinks Jon Snow's gonna survive.
Yeah, dude. I don't see that.
He dies. I think he dies because it's just he's the one that you always want to be at the end, and I feel like by killing him will be the biggest shock that they will ever do in this show. Now, surviving that's another thing.
You know who I think is
surviving is a really hard one for me.
I think surviving, and it's gonna piss everyone off, is gonna be Cersei.
No. Cersei has to die. Cersei has to die. The only reason I'm worried that Cersei won't die is because how many pregnant women are they gonna kill in this series? You know what I mean? Like how often can they do that? You know,
well, they obviously don't care. Like they don't have.
I know, but they don't.
I
mean, they might do a massive time jump though, and she has the baby first.
Well, there's this theory. Right after last season ended, there was a theory. You know how Tyrion was kind of like outside Jon and Daenerys' door, all sad and stuff.
Yeah, not happy about that. Yeah,
which was kind of like a little out of character because he never really showed that he loved.
I don't think
just
it's
like
about
Jorah.
that. I personally don't think it's about that.
It is about that.
No, I personally don't think that it's about.
Well, yeah,
that.
yeah. Well, I think
that.
that's the thing. I think that there's a lot of theories going around that he somehow made a deal with Cersei, or because there's a lot of rumors saying that Cersei's not really pregnant. So, you know, a lot of people are saying certain things about that, and I don't know if I'm buying it or not. But I don't think he loved Daenerys the way Friendzone loved Daenerys. You know.
No, I don't think so. I think I buy that. I think that he's looking at it from the political aspect of it, that their union should be platonic, because it keeps it more honest and more fair, and that he probably feels that by that being a romantic situation. Remember, he knows a lot more about her romantic situations than Jon does. Jon just knows that she was married once and thinks she can't have kids anymore. She doesn't know that she was, hooking up with Dario Naharis on the reg. You know what I mean? Like, back there.
Yeah, but I don't think he cares about it. I think he understands that was just like a side thing. Like,
no, I understand too, but I'm saying I think that that's where he's coming from. I think that he feels, because he's all about what's right for the kingdom and what's a better. Even though a lot of times he's wrong, he's still very persistent and insistent on what he thinks is the right way to go about things, and he's probably going to feel that union is going to be too much of a threat and is going to immediately have Cersei, because as right now, the only person who knows that Cersei's turning her back on them is Jaime. They think that Cersei's actually going to give them an army and actually bought into it and the whole nine, and he's going to feel like, yeah, this is definitely not going to work out. Once my sister gets any type of inkling about this, it's over.
But I don't think Tyrion's that dumb, man. I think he doesn't trust Cersei enough that he fully thinks that she's gonna give him an army. You get what I'm saying?
I think that he's worried about how that's gonna affect the North as well, and like on both ends. I think that he's feeling for both those rulers.
Right. Yeah, because he likes Jon. He's always liked Jon from the season one. He had a they had a pretty good
place in his heart for cripples, bastards.
Exactly. Yeah.
Broken things. Yeah, that's a great line. Tyrion always has the best lines, man. He's hands down.
I hope he survives.
And you know what's sad?
He's another fan.
And you know what's sad? I can't say that he's gonna survive.
I can't either. But I hope he does.
It's weird because he does he's brave enough to put himself in a situation where he's fighting and will get himself killed. But I feel like he's so out of harm's way. Like they're gonna really have to go out of their way to kill him. You know what I mean? Like he's gonna get. I don't know.
And also, just to throw it out there, Jaime and Brienne are gonna get together. There.
I mean they should, right? Because it's been hinted at since season 3.
Yep, it's gonna happen.
Even Cersei, the episode I saw yesterday, when Joffrey dies, she straight up says, "Hey, you're in love with Jaime," and Brienne gives her this face like,
she called her on it.
Yep.
And he has feelings for her, is that Cersei's in his life, and he won't abandon that.
It's gonna happen.
But
it's gonna happen.
If Cersei dies, I think he definitely hooks up with Brienne. There you go. Brienne and Jaime raise Jon Snow's baby.
and Braimy is their name together. Braimy, right? Braimy or Janie.
Brainy, that's funny. Oh, that's hashtagging. Brainy, yes, that's their couple's. That's their couple named Brainy. That's perfect.
Brainy.
Perfect.
Brainy. Yeah, I hope Brainy isn't. I hope that doesn't happen.
So what would be Jon and Daenerys then? Snowlisi? Jon Snow and Khaleesi Snowlisi.
But I do.
Yeah, but
he's actually, what is it? Aegon Targaryen, right? That's his actual birth name. Is Aegon?
He's Aegon
Targaryen.
Yeah,
which is named after the one who united all the kingdoms and took over everything with the 3 dragons.
Yeah,
the first one who took a stab at it.
I wish they kind of named him Rhaegar, because Rhaegar is a cooler name, but
it is. But that's his which he's gonna end up writing that dragon for sure. He's writing Rhaegar, which is named Rhaegon is the name of the dragon, I think. Yeah, his father's name is Rhaegar, but the dragon is named Rhaegon after, just like Drogon is named after Drogo. And the Viserion, of course, Viserion turned evil. Why would you name the dragon after that guy? What? When I found out, I realized that when she goes, I named him for my brother, and he wasn't good.
Yeah, he was a piece of shit.
Why would you name him? What is that? Like you asked him to get
She
killed with that
probably
name.
as soon as
Like,
she like
Yeah, he's-
as soon as she saw that, she was like, "God damn it, I knew it.
yeah, of course, I knew it.
I should have named him. I should have named him Bob."
I should have gone with Sparkles. I should have stuck with Sparkles.
Bob.
But yeah, it's like I think it was insane that you do that. That was great though when he got his crown, that gold crown.
Yeah, that scene was. I mean, this show has a lot of scenes, man. And rewatching it, you're just kind of reliving everything. It's like
insane. So many great
so
characters,
many great characters, so many great scenes, so many like Tyrion steals the
wild.
show in every scene he's in. I haven't got to the court where the scene where he's.
Yeah, I would get no justice.
Yeah, I haven't got to that, and I know that's gonna be his best.
Let the gods decide my
scene.
fate. That's always gonna be the most memorable scene. Yeah. Now I'm looking forward to it. I
It's
mean, we
coming.
all
It's
can't
coming.
wait. And there's gonna be, which we'll definitely talk about
So-
after we talk about either the season premiere or the season finale or whatnot. But there's gonna be a 2-hour HBO behind the scenes. They are calling it a documentary about Game of Thrones and what it took to film
After
that
the
and
series,
prepare that.
after the season ends.
Yes, after the season ends the following Sunday. So we get one more taste of the world of Game of Thrones before everyone's lives become meaningless.
Yeah, and then I don't have to worry about surviving.
It's and having to stay alive
Having to
for
stay
a year.
alive.
Well, they are gonna do spin-offs. They're gonna do spin-offs.
And then I'll rewatch, and then I'll rewatch everything else.
I'll tell you
rewatch
the
everything.
word about that they're going to do spin-offs and anthology style is actually very exciting to me. And I mean, just unfortunately, the word out there that what they're talking about is that they're going to do like either thousands of years in the past or like 100 years in the future. Like they want to purposely not have to make it anywhere near the time.
Yeah, and that's fine. I kind of want them to do
it
that
does.
way.
But there's some spin-offs I would love. Like I would love to see Varys's backstory. Like actually see him make his way into King's Landing, because he's actually the most consistent character of always being about the good of the realm. And what his background is, like, how do you go from caring about anybody after what you went through? You know, like after going through that with the wizard, cutting him up and all that stuff. Like, how would you ever get to a point where you're not a Littlefinger, you're not someone out for just a vengeance and hierarchy? And
Do you think he's surviving?
I mean, that's who?
Varys.
Oh no, he's dying. He's dying. The Red Woman as well. She told him. She told him that they're both going to die there.
The only thing that's cool and all, but the only thing is they wouldn't be able to go back. You know what I mean? Like that far back. If it comes to his story or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
No, I'm glad they're
I'll
gonna
tell
do
you-
it. If they do it, I hope it's thousands of years and telling
I
different
hope it's just
stories.
nothing connected so much to this.
It should. The rough thing with the rewatch is your piece if you get to do it at some point, but I'm sure MSK's already noticing it. You're already deep enough in. Is some of the actor changes, and they have no control over that. I
can imagine.
I don't hate to say that.
I can't imagine.
But
Yeah, well, I mean, the
when you're
mountain
watching
changes
them-
like 3 times, and it's kind of
yes,
like so
that's the thing.
blatant.
When it's back to back, when you're binge watching, you see it like so blatantly. Like, oh man, that's not the same actor. And I recognized Tomlin right away when he played
The cousin.
that they
so did
killed. Yeah,
did I.
like yeah, that's Tomlin.
but
What
that's
the-
still not as bad as the mountain. The mountain is probably the worst one, and Daenerys. I can never say his name.
Darren Harris. Yeah, that was really bad because they didn't just change actors; they
Daenerys
changed the
was
complete.
one of the ones for me that I was like, come on.
Yeah,
No,
what's
that one's
crazy
bad.
about that one is that I remember him being much longer than he was. He was only in one episode.
Yeah,
I thought he was in a whole season. I thought he was in a whole
Right?
season
It
before
felt
they
like
changed
that.
the
It
actor.
was,
He was in
the
one
one
You
episode.
kidding me? That's crazy.
but they made him so cool. That's why it was such a good episode. With the whole, like
So
I'm
big.
Darna Harris. And
Yeah.
I always have a choice. Like
it.
everything about that was so well set up, and
And then some other
like,
guy comes the next, and I'm like, who is this? Like,
He wasn't a bad character the following seasons, Darna Harris, but I like that one a lot more, and I think most people do. That's the worst one of the actor changes.
I mean, I don't mind the second guy. I mean, he grows on you. It's just like you said, the first episode of this guy, he was very cool. Like, it was a cool
it was
dude,
so
you know.
impactful. Yeah.
But
Oh,
No,
and
I
I
saw-
want to
that
see.
sold him.
I want to see. What is that? What is that guy's name? Gendry.
Gendry. Him and Arya reunite.
Like,
yeah,
I want to see that. Like, what happened to that guy? What happened?
what do you mean? What
He's
happened?
part of the Wild
He
Bunch.
came back already.
That's
He went back to King's. He
just
went back
wanna
to
see.
King's Landing, he blacksmith for a few
I know,
years, and
I know, but
now
I
he's
just wanna
part of
see
the
it.
Wild
I wanna
Bunch.
see
He went back. He went back to King's Landing, hiding. He's smart. That was a smart move. I think Davos told him to do that, right?
Yeah, that's what Davos told him to do. Yeah, hide in plain sight.
I feel like
Last
he's
place
still
to
rowing his boat. That's why. I feel.
Yeah. After the whole Beyond the Wall thing, he was like, "No, I'm getting back on my boat. Screw this."
Yeah, his brain is still out there rowing. Yeah, that's a great scene too. When he puts him out on the boat rowing, is like, yeah, he is. Think about it. He's what is that? A triathlon or whatever. We know he can row like a beast. We know he runs like extremely well, and in marathon running too, as well as fast. Like, you know what I mean? Like this guy, he's an Olympian.
Yes,
Gendry's an Olympian.
Yes, he is.
He's the Westeros Olympian. Like gold medal for Gendry. Like, for real.
Nikes should be named Gendry.
Yes. Gendry's. That's what it is. That's a nice pair of Gendry's you're walking there, man.
But yeah, I think we pretty much touched on.
Yeah, everything we I mean that it's to hype it up, because there'll be more things we'll bring up when we talk about once the season premieres and once the season ends, and we'll have a nice wrap up. Hopefully we can just have some reactions on Twitter. Maybe some voicemails or some emails
Or some listeners. Some listeners would be great.
Facebook. Some listeners would be nice.
Wives.
Yes,
Wives.
that's
Omega's wife.
Somebody's wife.
Nerdcessity. This is a rough one.
Oh, you could do the other one you're always telling me about.
Misfits.
Is it Rome? No, not that one. What is that? No, I haven't even heard about that.
Not that one.
This guy.
What's the series? Oh, Camelot. You told me about Camelot.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, yes. I think Camelot only had one season. It was a Stars series, so I'm sure you can find it out there somewhere on either Stars or on stream somewhere. But actually, it has. I'm sure one of you can find it out. The actress who played in Penny Dreadful, the main character, and she's actually in Dumbo that just came out now. She's in that movie as well with Tim Burton. But she's impressive in that show, because that's one of the first times you see her very young too, and she plays Arthur's sister, the witch.
Okay.
And I know what you call it's in it. Ray Fiennes. He plays Merlin.
Eva Green.
Yes. And then Ray Fiennes plays Merlin, and just the way it's very different from Lord. Like, it's not a very I'm sure people have seen Excalibur. If not, that's a great film and necessity to get under your belt is Excalibur. But it's actually surprising because it's less fantasy than you would think it would be. Like, they kind of dumb down the fantasy. It's still fantasy, but they kind of dumb it down and bring it almost into like an almost relatable, realistic approach, like kind of like what Christopher Nolan did with the Dark Knight series, where it's like it's still comic booky, over the top, but if this were true, this is as close as we would get to it. So he kind of did that. He left just enough mystic in it to make it entertaining, so it has that Game of Thrones type of aspect to it. And yeah, it's got some great acting in it, some great performances, excellent storyline. It's very entertaining. It's a very different approach while still staying true to the Camelot and Round Table and Night Story without going too crazy like other movies have. First Night with Richard Gere, horrible. I'm sorry, that's just me. Sean Connery was good in that movie, but just the storyline in general is just awful. And then that one with what's her name from Pirates of the Caribbean, the main actress.
Keira Knightley?
I forget. Keira Knightley, yeah. There's the King Arthur with her also, where it was more during the Roman time, so it's during the switch or there. That's not a bad movie, but it completely takes away from the lore of the Excalibur, King Arthur. So yeah, Camelot's actually, good call.
Yeah. Oh, it's with Joseph Fiennes.
I know you
Joseph
haven't
Fiennes.
seen it yet.
That's a young Merlin, man.
Joseph Fiennes, sorry. I said Ray
Joseph
Fiennes. I
Fiennes.
meant Joseph Fiennes.
Fiennes.
But that's a really young
Merlin. It's been a while
Merlin.
since I've seen that. Yes, but it's awesome. It's awesome. Well, remember, Merlin's a wizard. He doesn't. I mean, I want to give stuff away. I don't want to give stuff away. But yeah, and then I'll tell you right now, the lady, and that's all I'm gonna say is this: the lady in the lake scene in that series is mind blowing. The story that they have for the lady in the lake and how the Excalibur's retrieved to the lake, because they do the sword and the stone thing too, and they do that differently also, which is also very well done and clever. But that's all I'm going to say. When you get to the Lady of the Lake in that series, that's when you fall in love in that series. And truth be told, it actually ends in a good enough place that it didn't require a second season. I am surprised though that it didn't get one though, because it was well done. It was good. Actually, I'm gonna rewatch that. Now you bring that up,
There you go.
It's
You're welcome.
Too long since I've seen it, and that was good. So a good call.
Well, you need to finish Game of Thrones first.
Oh, I'm gonna finish it. I'm gonna finish it. I have to finish it in the next 2 weeks.
You need to start Game of Thrones.
Yeah, you need
know.
to start it. He's not gonna start it.
He's
not gonna start. He'll watch it after this series is
never
over.
watched it.
Honestly, I haven't even seen one episode of Game of Thrones, guys. Yeah, I said it.
Did you just?
We spoiled everything for you.
MSK? MSK,
Yeah,
did you hear me?
pretty much.
Yo Peace's brother has never seen Game of Thrones.
Stop it! Wait!
Not a single episode.
Wait!
Not a single episode.
Wait!
But no, that's real. My brother has never seen
That's
Game of Thrones.
real.
That is
Wait.
He's never seen it.
Are you kidding me?
I couldn't.
No, I'm not kidding
He's
you.
the, you know what's crazy? He's like the second person. I mean, it's like a 1% thing because he's like the second person that I've like in the past like 2 months that I've had tell me that they've never seen.
So you've met
Game of
the
Thrones.
Well, my brother
You've
hasn't
met
seen
a
it either. My
1%?
brother hasn't seen it either. But your brother seems like the person that would love the show.
Definitely watch that. Wait, your brother hasn't seen it?
No,
either?
my brother would. He does not want to see it, and I tell him my brother has a lot of
Really?
characteristics like Tyrion that he would love the character.
See, and
he
your
hasn't seen
brother
it.
is
But he
one
would
guy
watch
that I think that would actually love the show too.
He would love the show.
Yeah,
He
I would
love
think
it,
he would
but
too.
He hasn't seen
Yeah.
it yet either.
There's people. Yeah, my uncle doesn't watch it, which is insane. He's like, oh, maybe I'll catch up now before the final season. I'm like, good luck.
Yeah, well, no, I know one of my friends. He just started maybe last month from season 1.
Wow.
And he's like all in on Game of Thrones. He's so hyped.
Well, you know what? If you get started now, MSK, you might be able to catch up in time for the series finale of Supernatural next season.
No. 24 episodes, 18 years. How many years? 16.
No, 15
Boy, it
seasons.
feels like
15.
18 years. That show, I thought it was going to last forever. I thought it was going to be one of those soap opera shows that last 50 years.
Oh, man.
You should do it, though.
15 seasons. Good luck.
But
I think Walking Dead's never coming off the air. That's for sure. That's like,
yeah, I mean, it should. But yeah, that's another episode. We're not talking about Walking Dead.
You know, I'm gonna blast one thing to end this because they deserve to get. All right, a lot of people going crazy. I don't know if you've seen some stuff on social media, and this is a spoiler episode anyways, and you guys don't care, so it has to be said. They had what could have been a great episode last weekend, and people were losing their mind comparing it to the Red Wedding, and they got audacity to compare that to the Red Wedding.
Who are these people? Because you're the only person I know still watching the show.
No, I'm not the only one. There's
Like,
plenty
I
of
have
people who
I
just totally
none of
don't,
my friends.
So we don't talk
5 years
about
ago,
it.
everyone
No.
on social media was talking about it. Everyone.
Nah, I'm not watching
Now
it,
it's just you. It's just you.
No, it's not just me. I'm just the only one still talking about it. Everyone else it's like a dark little secret. They just hide it in their closet and watch it, and they don't talk about it to anyone. But I like it's like when I watch Smallville. I like to air out my discontent after I take my medicine.
Jesus,
that's what
man.
we call
Who
it
watches that
here
show?
at the
That
household.
show's-
We call it taking our medicine. But here's the thing: it was a very good episode. If they would have been bigger on who they killed off, and from what I read in the comic books, in this it's called the Pikes episode. And in the comic books, they went very big on the characters they killed off, but they killed off like second tier characters, and there's people actually crying online. You can watch it. The way the
why
Red
are we
Wedding-
talking
I don't know who any of these
Oh,
people
man,
are because I
come
stopped
on,
What's
watching.
going on
man.
here?
Who are these people? I don't
I'm
want to
just
talk
bringing it
about
up.
this. They don't wanna
I'm
talk
just bringing
about
up that
the
people are
show.
insane comparing
I don't
that to
care
the Red
about The
Wedding,
Walking
and it's no
Dead.
Red Wedding. It's not.
I'm about to red wedding this episode that
I'm
we're doing
leaving
here
it on that.
because I don't want to talk about this show.
I gave up. Not gonna lie to you. You started talking about it, I gave up. I gave up.
So yeah, you know what? That's a great note to end this on. I'm Omega. Peace.
MSK, peace out.
Yo, peace. Peters.
And there you have it, folks. This has been Fanatically Correct. Until next time, you crazy kids. Signing off.
I promise, Omega, I promise we're gonna do a Walking Dead episode of you just complaining about Walking Dead, but you're still watching
That'd be
Walking
great.
Dead.
Yes.
It's
yes.
like you just
We should
told
do it
us
while I'm
why would you want
watching.
to watch a bad movie, but you're watching a bad series. Like,
Because I'm already invested. That's different. At least a movie, I'm not vested in it. That I need to
Oh,
know.
you're vested in this.